Boy, oh boy, do we have a lot to talk about today. Welcome to GarageBand Weekly, where we'll be covering all the week's happenings. And yeah, we do have some GarageBand news. I know it's been a while since we had anything significant to talk about here on GarageBand Weekly, but we had a new GarageBand update. The new iPhone 12s and iPad Air 4 is out. Yeah, there's a lot to get through, so we're going to crack on and get started. Just a moment. We've got some tips of the week. We got apps of the week. We got a rant of the week that we're going to go on as well. All of the usual stuff is happening. How's your weekend been though? Been doing well for those that have taken the plunge and updated to iOS 14 and GarageBand 2.3.9 on iOS. Yeah, what do you think? Let me know. And yes, it is going to be a very iOS heavy episode today because there is just so much to talk about in the iOS world. We had Patrick on last week talking about a bit of Mac stuff, but it's going to be pretty much all iOS all the time this week. But let's get in started, shall we? Let's jump in with the news and the notes, and let's not bury the lead because you know what we're talking about here. Yeah, it is GarageBand for iOS. The world is your stage. This is your instrument. So if you're into GarageBand, you would have been aware that we have a new version, 2.3.9. It is only compatible with iOS 14, so you do need to update your device, which I have done now on two of my iPads, not my iPhone, and I'll tell you why when we get into our feature topic here today, because I do have my reasons. And yeah, we'll talk about that. What do we have new in iOS? Well, we have some new sound library. We've got the new keyboard collection sound library. We've got a couple of other little tweaks. We've got extended recording time. You can now record up to 2,000 bars, up from 640. And we finally have the ruler with the time, the minutes and seconds on your ruler. I know, we have all of those things. I don't know why I'm just showing you this still image. I quite like GarageBand's little ad page here. Although, look at this, they haven't updated it because they've made some changes to smart drums. And look, they've still got the old one there. So yeah, Apple not quite on the ball, updating their own website. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff to talk about. We will talk about the update in a little while. iPhone 12 is out. So yes, we do have iPhone 12s available. iPhone 12 and iPhone 12 Pro. If you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen I posted. I walked past the Apple store here in Adelaide the other day, and there were people. I'm like, the line's not very long. Yes, you have to line up to get into the Apple store at the moment. The line's not very long. I could probably get in and out with an iPhone 12 Pro in about 10 minutes. And then I thought about it and decided not to. I am going to upgrade to an iPhone 12 because my aging iPhone XS, where is it? It's in my pocket. My aging iPhone XS is starting to show signs that it is not going to cope with a lot of the newer stuff. But yeah, at the moment, I'm waiting because I'm deciding. Do you go the Pro or the Pro Max? I know, yeah, with first world problems, right? Let's continue on. We also have the iPad Air 4. So the fourth generation of the iPad Air has been released and is available to order now. So, I had some graphics to go along with these. So here's the here's the iPhone 12. If you are in the mood to do some shopping, I showed this before, but I buried the lead on this too. The iPhone 12 Pro and the 12 are out. The 12 Pro Max and the 12 Mini, because yes, we got 4 versions. We talked about it last week. Will be available from 6th of November. Have to always flip around the dates because, yeah, I'm here in Australia and we have day, month, not month, day, but the 6th of the 11th, which is 2 weeks' time if you want that. But yeah, as you can see here, the iPhone 12 Pro, it's got a 6.1 inch display. The Max has the 6.7. What would I do? Would I get it Pacific Blue? Everyone's raving about Pacific Blue. I'm here on the US site. That's why it's in US dollar bucks. What is it going to cost me? Don't have a trade-in. Let's buy one for the low price of $1,299. So $1,300 to get yourself into a kitted out iPhone 12 Pro. The other one here is the iPad Air. Quick cough. The iPad Air. So yes, we've got different colors. The iPad Air. Main difference with this one, this is the 4th generation, is it has the USB-C port. So it's more like a Pro than it is like the old generation iPads. And you can see there it's got the iPad Pro looking bezel there. What color would I get? Would I get rose gold? That's about the closest to red, isn't it? But yeah, it's a little bit, I don't know, maybe I'd go the blue as well. Sky blue. Anyway, there is some options that you have if you are in the market for things like that. What other news do we have? That was it. So we've got new iPhones, new iPads, new GarageBand. Talk about a big week of things going on. There's plenty happening around the traps. Well, before we jump into our feature topic here today, let's jump in and say g'day to the folks who are here live. Hello to Jade Star. We've got Tom, Rochelle, S.M. Borthwick. Scott is in the house. We have Amarasaya. We have Onion Hat. Another update. Well, this is the update from 4 days ago, so not quite there. Clearly epic. How are you, my friends? Stu, Cash, Tommy, Gunja, Deep Gravity. Hello to you, Caleb Johnson. Spot 11. Hey to you. Arnie G's in the house. Joe Gamlin is also around the place. Have I said g'day to everyone? Gary Hubbs, if I missed you. Playground Wi-Fi. There you go. Double multitasking. Love it. Andrew Graham. Hello. Hope you're doing well. So let's get into it. Oh, yes, and absolutely. S.M. Borthwick on the Creator Series yesterday. Great interview. Speaking of GarageBand and folks who are creating great music with GarageBand, both Gary Hubbs, this person here, and S.M. Borthwick have both been on the Creator Series recently. Both did an awesome job. So, yeah. Alrighty, let's continue on and jump into our feature topic, which is, where's my notes? No, it's should you update? Should you actually take the plunge and update to the new version of GarageBand to iOS 14? So, as I alluded to, I have updated 2 of my devices to iOS 14. I originally updated just my, I'm trying to find in the background my actual, what I'm sharing. Maybe I'm not reflecting it anymore. I'm not. I'll just share this. I have updated my iPad Air 2. And then yesterday, I updated my iPad Pro, my 4th gen iPad Pro, the 2020 model. I haven't updated my iPhone yet. Now, I put a call out to the GarageBand users. Shout out to the GarageBand users. This is the t-shirt that Ron Ward designed. Very, very cool. Get this over at the merch store. I spoke to sorry, that popped up in the wrong spot. I spoke to the folks over on the GarageBand users. So I put up a thing saying, how are you going with the new version? Have you got any bugs? Have you got anything that's going on? And I got a plethora of information. And here's the weird thing. It's about 50-50 split. So I'm just bringing this up over here. About a 50-50 split between people who said, yep, love it, working great, no problems. And oh my goodness, it's a hot mess. And then there was a few little bits in between with like, it's a bit buggy, but it's okay. And a few people saying, there's this one substantial issue, but the rest of it's okay. So what I've decided to do is we'll talk briefly about it here, but I've got a second show today. Yeah, you get a 2 for today, a second live show where we'll be taking a little bit more of a deep dive into the new version. So here it is for those who haven't actually had any look whatsoever. Here's the new version. Let's bring that one up there. Here's the new version of GarageBand. The main difference we have here is the new keyboard sounds. So if you go into My Sounds, we've got this new keyboard collection, and we've got a bunch of stuff in here. What's the Big Dipper? There you go. It sounds like that. So you've got new keyboard collections in there. What we've since discovered is that there's some other new things under the hood that weren't actually advertised. Ooh, new things. So shout out to Patrick over at the GarageBand Guide. He actually, it was his video. The sampler has been updated. Ooh, that's what the sampler looks like now. Let me just bring up the old sampler on my phone here so you can take a look at the difference. So I know this will be a little bit dodgy because I'll just show it on the camera here. But if we come into the old sampler, here's old sampler. Let's come over here. There's old sampler. That's that real iOS 5 to 7 kind of look with those bulbous buttons and weird stuff going on. And then you compare that to the slickness that is this. Yeah, you got a whole bunch more going on here. So they've definitely updated that. Didn't mention it, just slotted it in there. I have heard from my buddy Asa, who is vision impaired, that accessibility has been nerfed with this update. So they thought about the fact that, hey, we can now access our dog bark samples easier, but accessibility for our vision impaired friends is apparently much worse. So yay, but boo. But yeah, we do have a new sampler. It does look a lot better, but apparently the functionality is pretty similar. We do have a pitch bend wheel and a modulation wheel that you can adjust here on this now that we didn't have before. So that is one of the changes. Now, I haven't tried this yet, but someone was telling me, a few people in fact were telling me that you don't actually have, the EQ is different. We'll show you that in a minute. But someone was telling me that the double tap, it does work here in the EQ. The double tap on the EQ does work to go back to, I'll just try it on the actual screen, double tap. Yeah, okay, so that's working there. Someone told me that the double tap for volume, maybe it's on the main screen here, because if you're not aware, if you're adjusting your volume and you say you change your volume like that, if you double tap, I see it's working for me. I don't know, maybe it's, yeah, okay, that's working. I'll have to explore that more because someone was telling me the double tap for volume to bring it back doesn't work. Seems to work fine for me. The other thing that I think it was Pablo, shout out to you. If it wasn't you, well, you're getting the credit anyway. The smart drums have been updated as well. So if you come in here to the smart drums, they now look like this. A little bit different. Like again, it's got these sort of pastel-y colors going on here. And if you haven't used smart drums before, no one really uses them, but you can drag. Oh, it crashed. No, it didn't. Yeah, it did. Or it really doesn't like the mouse. Oh wow, it's really not impressive. There we go. Oh, it's really clunky. If I use my finger, what does it do? There you go. Oops, stop. All right, so, okay, it's better now. Yeah, it was just when I had that up there. But yeah, this looks much different as well. Again, let's just do the quick comparison of the oldie smart drums, which looked, again, kind of like the old world Apple stuff. So instead of these nice, colorful buttons in the old version, we had these. We had these chromified little buttons there. Exactly the same functionality. Nothing has changed there. They've just prettied it up a little bit. But that's another one of the changes there. The time ruler, which we looked at in the other video we did recently. So we've got this little one here, the time ruler we can turn on, and then we can rule our time. You've got minutes and seconds there as well. That's a cool thing. And then, whoops, wrong spot. And then the other thing is that no, that was the right spot. The other thing is that in our sections here, we can go all the way up to 2000. Actually, no, there you go. I was about to say, can you do multiple sections at 2000? No. So it's dropped me back to 1976. I'd like to go back to 1976. Wasn't born yet, but sounds like fun. So you got up to 2,000 bars to play with there, which gives you up to 73 minutes at regular recording length, and I think up to about 200 minutes if you drop it down to 40 BPM. So that's cool. So that's all good stuff. So yeah, the real question here, and what I'll be answering later today, is should you update? Is the pain, are the bugs worth it? Depending what you're actually using, and the jury's still out on that one. I've got a lot of different feedback and from different folks, so we will spin back around and talk about that more in the follow-up show, which will be kicking off in a couple of hours' time. You can jump over and watch Jade's show, the How to App show, and then not long after that one finishes, I'll be back online and we'll be doing a little bit more on this. But yes, for right now, here's the bottom line. If you want to just have a quick answer of, hey, should I update? For right now, if you have a daily driver that you are working on critical projects that you need to get done by a critical time frame, do not update. This is my advice for everything all the time. I didn't update anything to iOS 14 at all while I was working on my Songtember project. So I had a song that I had to get finished by the end of September, and then I had to do the post-production and the promotion and whatnot. I waited till about a week ago before I updated anything, and I've only just started updating other stuff. I'm not updating this iPhone until I'm 100% convinced that LumaFusion, GarageBand, iMovie, all the key apps that I use are 100% okay. It ain't broke right now, and I ain't going to fix it. So because I use this phone and LumaFusion on this phone every single day to actually edit and release videos, if I can't do that, that's a significant issue for me. So my advice is, if you have a critical project you are working on, do not update. If you have nothing critical, there's nothing in this update that is completely bricking things. The frustrations and bugs seem to be more little things that are not working, or an older project that people reopen and then suddenly it's done something weird and wacky. So they're the sort of things that we're going through. Alrighty. Any new guitar samples? No. Alas, no. S.M. Borthwick says his son uses the smart drums. He's 7, so programming is a bit beyond him for now. Yeah, my kids actually do as well. They love the beat sequencer. One of my daughters just loves like lining them up and making these just insane beats. And I'm like, no, you can't do. Oh, that actually sounds super cool. So there you go. Yeah, don't judge lest ye be judged. Let's move on because we've got a heap more to talk about and not much time to do it. So that is our feature topic. Should you update to iOS 14 and GarageBand? Well, maybe. Just keep those things in mind. My rant of the week. I'm going to rant about something, and it's not even really a rant, it's more just some advice here because I get asked a lot about connecting external gear to your iPhone or iPad. Now, as you know, say it along with me. If you've got a lightning based iPad, you need to use the genuine Apple Lightning to USB 3 adapter. Otherwise, you won't get a whole lot of value. Now, yesterday, SM Borthwick mentioned that he uses the Scarlett eye track. Now that is MFI. That's made for iOS certified. So that's different. If you've got a device that actually connects via Lightning and has a Lightning adapter included in the box, so we're talking the iRig Pro series, the iRig HD, the Focusrite eye track. There's a few others that do exactly this. They're cool. Go with it. But if you're connecting up any standard USB devices, you need yourself a USB Lightning to USB 3 adapter. Now, I get asked questions from folks saying, well, when I do that, Pete, how do I manage clipping and distortion and set my volume and set my volume level? So I wanted to talk about this briefly here today because there's a couple of concepts to keep in mind. Now, I should have had a device in my hand, so you're just going to have to picture me holding an audio interface, but on your hardware audio interface, so whether it's an audio interface you're plugging a microphone into, a USB microphone, it will almost always have a gain dial. And that is your input gain. Now, input gain is very different to volume. What we have up here is our volume. So this particular microphone volume here, if I'm recording on this channel, so let's just say I've got this set up and I'm going to record and I hit the record button here, the volume I have set here means absolutely nothing to the volume that's going to be recorded. This is my output volume. This is only the volume coming out. The input volume is what you need to worry about. So if I go into the microphone setting here, you'll notice here that this input volume is grayed out. It doesn't let me adjust the input volume. Now that's because I've got an external device plugged in. So my Steinberg UR22C, which is down here that you can't see, has an input dial. So when I dial up that input, I need to get that set to the right level. And this is the meter that I need to be watching. This one doesn't matter at all. This could be silent, or this could be right up here and clipping in the red. It doesn't mean anything. You'll not be clipping based on the output metering of your track. It's only the input metering that you have to pay attention to. And if you're going to pay attention to just one thing, pay attention to your hardware. So most of your USB microphones, most of your audio interfaces will have a peak light. And that peak light tells you when you've clipped, when you've gone over the maximum amount of sound pressure that can go into your interface, and that is bad. If you are clipping, dial it back. So turn the volume down, the input volume down. If you need to hear yourself better, guess what? That's where this comes in. Turn that up, or turn the headphone monitor volume up. So that's the main concept I wanted to put in front of you here, is that there's two different types of volume or gain when you're talking about recording. Your input gain is the amount of signal going into your DAW to record, and then your output gain is what has been processed and then sent out from your DAW to your headphones, to your speakers, to your track. So keep that in mind when you're recording. Pay very careful attention to your input gain. The output gain, put that to whatever level is comfortable for you, because that's not going to impact the actual quality of your recording. And it's the same whether you're using $20 microphone or a $500 microphone. You're going to get really bad quality if you bump up the input gain, and if you have it too low as well. If you have it too low, you'll end up having to turn the output up so high that you introduce a bunch of noise. So balancing what's often called gain staging, balancing the gain for your input and then your output so you can hear it, is very important. So keep that in mind. If you do have questions, by the way, happy to answer any Q&A stuff. Just put the word question in front of your question and I'll make sure that I get to it and answer it. As Lando said here, yeah, USB 3 and a power hub. Exactly. Powered USB hub and Lightning to USB 3 adapter. It'll set you back in the US around about $60, $70. But you've got your studio set up for life, basically. I bought myself a 10-DAC powered USB hub, which was $20 here in Australia. The Lightning to USB 3 adapter was $65. So I've got $85 invested but now any Lightning-based iPhone or iPad I have, I can hook up and it will work 100% of the time. So yes, that is what you need to get yourself crack-a-lackin' when it comes to GarageBand. Alrighty, let us continue on. What is the next on our little schedule here? Yes, as I said, if you've got any questions, please drop them in the chat here if you're live. And if you're watching on the replay, don't worry, just drop your comments down below. Getting value out of this one? I sure hope so. Feel free to hit the like button. That tells me I should get up early and do this show every week. I do enjoy doing it, and don't tell anyone, but I'd probably do it anyway. I've often said I'd probably do these shows if one person was watching and if nobody liked it. If I got a bunch of dislikes, I'd be like, I'm still going to do it. Let's continue on here with our tip of the week. Now, I thought our tip of the week this week, because we've got these new loops here in GarageBand. In fact, let's get ourselves a fresh GarageBand track. I don't even know what one I'm using there. Shouldn't be playing around with that. Let's go back in here. We'll go into we'll go into in progress and we'll create a new track. Now, you'd know that if we want to add some keyboard sounds, we can do so by going to the keyboard, going to more sounds, going to our keyboard collection that we've downloaded, and then adding them in here. So we can come in here and we can do the 80s bitrate synth, and we can... Oh, that sounds almost like Jamaican, almost sounds like a Jamaican sound. What are those steel drums? But yeah, there you go. Maybe I'll do a Jamaican track later. So you can go in here and, of course, record tracks that way. But with the new pack, we also got a whole bunch of MIDI loops. And I thought I would show you a couple of quick things about MIDI loops that you may already know or you may not, because they're actually fun to play around with. So if we tap on the loop icon here, what we can do, we can filter by, and we can filter by sound pack. And we're going to scroll down to keyboard collection because we just want to use these new ones. Back to filter by, back to Apple loops, and boom, we've got just these ones. So let's bring one together. What's one that I think it was the hard to find that I was having some fun with here. So we can grab this hard to find piano, and what we can do, tap it, drag it, and if you drag it onto a blank track, it will use its default instrument. So there you go. We've got that hard to find piano. It's going to sound like this. Pretty cool, yeah? I like the delay on that. It's got a really nice tone, really nice delay. But here's the thing, you're probably ahead of me on this one. We're not limited to just this one sound and this one type of instrument. We can move this. This is just MIDI. So this is just data, ones and zeros here in our computer, in our iPad or iPhone. So all we need to do, if we want to say bring this over to our 80s bitrate synth, we just tap it, drag it on up, release it, and now we have a bit of this going on. Cool. So yeah, you can move things around and put them onto different instruments. And now that we've got this piano here, what if we wanted to grab another loop, but make it something different? So let's grab a loop that's not meant for a piano. What's one that we can use? Maybe this organ sound. So this ballpark jam organ, we can now drag onto our piano instead. And then we get a bit of this. That's kind of cool. Hear those like upper harmonics that you get in some of these patches? Telling you, it's good fun. Really, really cool stuff to do. And if you wanted to know what that sounds like with its original organ sound, well, yep, we just drag it in there as an organ sound. And now, kind of think it sounds better on the piano. What do you think? I like it. So what else did I want to show you here? Oh, yes. The other cool thing is, let's go back to our 80s ballad. So we'll leave it here on the bitrate synth because it's got a bit of a Coldplay kind of pop vibe, doesn't it? The beautiful thing about MIDI is that you can edit it. So we can completely change everything about this. If we tap on this one and we go to edit, boom, we come into our piano roll editor, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's like the old piano roll things. You can work out exactly where your different notes are if you tap them. There you go. So what if we wanted to, say, change this chord up a little bit? Well, if we slide in the top left here, we can actually add in new notes. So let's add in like a high note on this first chord, and it's going to sound like this. And what about, I reckon, another note just down here? Just got to line it up. There we go. What about this? We've just changed this loop. And then I reckon we go up there. So, na, 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 na. Yeah, let's just try something like that. So we've adapted these. And again, we can move these notes around. You can tap it to delete it. So we'll just take that note out there, just randomly delete some of these notes to give it a bit of a different feel. And you'll see here, because it's looped, because it's 4 bars and this is looped, anything you change in this bit changes in this bit as well. So let's take a listen to my Frankenstein version. So yeah, that last note is probably not necessary, right? It sounded a bit crappy there. But you get the gist here. You've got complete control over these notes. You can add, remove, tweak it. So you can start with something. People say, oh, don't use loops because they're so generic. They all sound the same. Guess what? You take a loop. We've taken a loop. We've changed the instrument. We've changed the tone. And then we've changed the notes. And you want to go a next step? You can even do things like changing the key. So we don't want this in C major. I can't play in A flat major, but GarageBand can. And now... right? Completely different feel because we can change up everything about it. And again, don't forget, you can also change your tempo. I reckon this could be like a bit more of a dance type song, like a doot, doot, doot. Let's bring up the tempo, and then we get something like this. And immediately you're building out a track. So I'm thinking, oh, this has got to have some 808 over it. So let's go into that new smart drums layout that we have here. We'll grab our, we don't have a whole lot, do we, here? The house drum machine. And we'll throw our kick on here, like a nice loud kick. Whoop, it really doesn't like something like this. Can you hear this? Are you getting ready to get into the club? Let's get some hats in there. Oh, jeez, it's not, yeah, it really doesn't like this mouse. There you go. We've suddenly got a bit of a beat like this going on. We'll record that in. Yo, y'all ready to party? All right, we've just made a club track in about 5 minutes using these cool new loops and the smart drum. So there you go. That is the MIDI loops and the power of MIDI loops here in GarageBand. Super fun, super cool. And QB, hello to QB the Penguin. Yeah, they're MIDI files, so you can edit them. Exactly. That's the beauty of these. It's in the Apple loops, but you can go in there and edit them and do what you want. Change it up. You got like thousands of instruments in here, and I didn't even show you. Sorry, what? Bonus bit, the other thing, of course, you can do is if you come into the actual instrument, so if we come in here, you can actually change things. So on these standard instruments, you can change the tremolo, the release, the chorus, and the space of this one. You can change this up to an Alchemy synth instrument, which gives you a whole bunch more control. If you come in here to Alchemy Synth and we go to something like the faded keys here, then you get all this business. You can change all of the different tones up and scroll across. And look at this. You've got access to all of these controls. You can make your own very, very cool synth patches here using the power. The power of GarageBand. Can you tell I like it? I'm having too much fun today, and we're going to go over time because we're already at the time we should be finishing. So we better crack on and get into these last couple of sections because I wanted to show you something cool. Let's change pace a little bit here because we're gonna. You might be thinking that's cool, Pete, but I'm not an electronic producer. I produce actual instruments, and I play my guitars and I play my my vocals and things. Well, we've got something for you too here. I'm gonna just find a project that I can demo this in. So let's jump into. Shall I use Goats? No, I get in trouble when I use Goats. Let's use something like Never to Blame. That'll do. Just because I have it handy here. So I wanted to show you something like folks are often asking me, what do I do if I've got noise coming in? So noisy bits in my instruments. I want to give you a recommendation of an app or a plugin of the week here, and it's the Nembrini Audio Rack, Analog Rack Noise Gate. So I've probably got a bad track to demonstrate it here. Let's use my vocals here because these ones might be easier to show it. So I cross the road and never even look one way. I always. All right. So let's see. Have we got a bit of noise behind on this track? Oh no. I cross the road. I think I've already processed it, so we don't actually have any noise on the track. I'm going to put it on here anyway, just to demonstrate what it is. So if you come in here to your plugins and you go plugins and EQ. Yeah, I've already got a bunch of stuff going on here, don't I? So if you go to edit, what can we remove here? Oh, we don't need to, we can add one. So if you've got noise in the background, so say you've got some hiss or you got some buzz or you got some interference in the background of your vocal track, Bruce Free by Clevgrind is a great app, but it's about $10 or $15 depending where you are in the world. If you want something for free that works well, our friends at Nembrini, Andreas Nembrini, who makes some really cool stuff, makes this one. And some of these are like little $2 apps, these analog rack, but the noise gate happens to be free and it happens to work really well. I've demoed it before, but you've got got a threshold here and you've got a range here. So you might be saying, Pete, why would I use this instead of the built-in GarageBand noise gate? Well, the main reason for this is that you've got a threshold in your noise gate, but the range is what you actually want here. Because what you can do with this is you can set the threshold to cut out the background noise, but then you can also adjust the range there. I wonder if instead of using this, let's just undo, or just delete that. I think these little buttons, the little light buttons here, are slightly different in the new version too. They look like they've been just tweaked, just Appleified, just iOS 14ified a tiny little bit. Let's come back into my in progress folder and come back to a new track. So if I record something, in fact, what I can probably do is let's unplug my interface. It's going to be super highly experimental here, but that's okay. That's what we're here for. So I've unplugged my interface, and now if I go into a voice recording, this should be using, yes, there it is, just the, and see, I'll show that input gain. There you go. I should have done this before when I was doing the input gain stuff, but you can see there if I go that's probably too high. We'll bring it down here. Yeah, a little bit lower. You want this the lines there to be hitting between 50 and 75%. So if I just hit the record button here and we just record something random, so and we'll stop that. All right, so if I plug back in now, just so that we get some better quality audio so we can hear this back. So I'm plugging my audio interface back in. It'll pop up my "You are monitoring" now. Just momentarily, there you go. We'll turn on the monitoring so we can hear this back. And if we come in, we'll go back to our track view. There's my audio. Let's hit play. There you go. So the reason I did that big breath there is that this is going to help us demo this plugin really well. So if we come in here, now we go to plugins and EQ. Now we could turn on the noise gate again. So the noise gate will do an okay job. So if we play it back now, and so you adjust that threshold to find the noise floor, and that'll actually remove that sort of hissing noise in the background. So let's just play around with this. We'll pull it down and then we'll just find the sweet spot. So it's about there. It's about 36 dB. So you can use that. There it goes. But if you notice that it cuts out and then cuts back in, we can do better. So if we turn that one off and instead we add the power, get rid of this effect EQ, no one actually ever knows what that does, and we add in our Nembrini and a where is it? Noise gate. This one is going to do a much better job because now we not only have the threshold here, which we can dial around. Let's see if the threshold matches about that 36, but we have a range here as well. So we can either cut it down to 0 or we can adjust this. I'll show you how it works here when we play this. So hear how that's playing, but it's doing nothing because our range is at 0. As we dial the range up, it's going to turn it down. So let's try this. And now see our threshold has come down too low. We need to drive that back a bit. It's cutting off even when it is actually playing. Let's try it again. So it's a constant sort of battle finding the different balance there. But you can hear there that if we change, so we don't want it all the way down here because obviously it'll do nothing. If we put the range up to 100, this is like what the actual built-in noise gate does. So listen now. Nothing. But you get that weird thing where it cuts off in between phrases. And this is the power of the Nembrini noise gate, is that we can drive this down. And so we put the range at about 50 right here in the middle. It will just turn down those parts where it's detecting that there's no sound. And then it will let the full range through in the other part. Let's play it. Probably still needs to come down a little bit more on the threshold. Yeah, so you just play around with this until you get it. So yeah, still cutting off just a little bit, but you can see what you can do here with this and how powerful it is. If you've got hissy vocals or audio, got some of that like guitar amp sound, that hum or buzz in your guitar amp, and you want to make sure it's cut off. Now keep in mind, this is doing nothing to the audio when it's actually playing. So if you've got bad quality audio, as I kind of do here because I'm recording from too far away on my actual built-in mic, then it's not really going to help that. But it is a great tool that if you've got those bits in between and you don't want to have to use automation or you don't want to have to do a bunch of editing, the Nembrini analog rack noise gate. And I do recommend you go and check out the rest of the range of Nembrini stuff. They make the Crunk V2 amp, which is free, as well as a bunch of paid amps, which are only about $10 each. Really good value. I know Jade has demoed a couple on her channel as well. You get some really good tones. There's the Soundmaster, the 8180, a bunch of cool stuff from Nembrini. So check out the full range of Nembrini plugins over on the App Store. It's very, very cool. Righty dokie. Let's finish up here. We're coming to the end. I know it's been a lot of fun. Just to recap, if you're just joining us here, because I've noticed that there's some folks that are having some comments and questions here about the new update. So yes, if you missed the start, the new version of GarageBand iOS has been released. It's version 2.3.9. It does require iOS 14. There have been some performance and bug issues identified and flagged by some folks. I'll be doing a stream in a couple of hours' time where we're going into a bit more detail. So we'll be doing a deep dive into all of the comments that I've got, and we'll basically be testing them all out and seeing which ones I'm experiencing and trying it on a couple of different iPads as well, just to check the different performance levels and a few other things like that. But my main advice on that is if you are doing something, if you have a critical project underway at the moment, do not update, because you just don't know. Like, finish your project, make sure you're between projects before you go ahead and update. You don't want something that's going to impact your ability to get your songs created, because that is super duper important. So that is going to do it. We do a resource of the week, and this week I'm going to be lazy, and it's going to be studiolivetoday.com. So if you head on over to that website there, studiolivetoday.com, that's my home on the interwebs. And why don't we just give you a quick view of what you can see over there. If we do this, boom, there's Apple. But yes, if you go to studiolivetoday.com, it'll pop you over into here, and we'll give you a quick guided tour. So if you're looking for anything to do with the channel here, it's going to be here. So we've got my free, yes, you can join the mailing list. Good, thank you. Thank you, website. Well done with your pop-up. I don't ask for any other details except your email address, and I email you once a week with our newsletter. So if you want to keep in touch with everything going on, you can do that. But up the top here, we've got my free plugins guide, your GarageBand iOS FAQ, which I'm going to have to update with some of these changes. We've got an iPad buyer's guide if you're in the market for a new iPad, iPhone buyer's guide, a heap of links to all of the other places you can go there, some loops, some resources, and my studio gear guide. So if you're in the market for gear, or you're saying, what does Pete use to actually create music on his iPhone or iPad? Well, here it is, and I need to fix that because that popped up twice. I know, I'm not a good web developer. You're seeing behind the curtain here. It shouldn't do that. It shouldn't pop up on both sides. But there you go. So you can see my current setup, and there's links in here. So if you go, Pete keeps talking about this Steinberg UR22C audio interface, I might pick one of those up. If you click the links, those are affiliate links, and it means that if you make a purchase, they break off a chunk and send it over to me. So there you go. You can grab yourself a Steinberg UR22C or any of the other gear that I recommend. And it's all used and tested by me in iOS, so you know that it's going to be class compliant, and you know that it's going to work. And I've had a bunch of folks that have emailed me recently and said thank you for putting them onto different gear and getting them set up. So you're welcome, and I do that because I hate seeing people go out and buy stuff that's not going to work and that I know is not class compliant, or I know has issues with iOS. Most gear these days, thankfully, is good and is class compliant, will work. But yeah, that is how we keep things in order. That is going to do it for this one. Once again, jump up to date. Thank you to Jade Star. Speaking of Jade Star, keep up to date with all the news and shows. Join on the mailing list, and you can head on down there. And do head over to Jade Star's channel. She does her how-to app series. She has another video coming up in 20 minutes time. So I'll try and jump in on there as well. And then I'll be back in what time are we? In around about 2 hours time. So I'll be jumping on after you've watched Jade's show. You can come back here because we're going to spend probably an hour or also just doing a deep dive into the new GarageBand iOS version and testing it out. So I need your help. I need you to come along and tell me, have you found any bugs? What new things have you discovered? We're going to have a little discovery session here live on the channel. So thank you very much. Appreciate you being here. Remember, please be kind to yourself first and foremost, and be kind to others. Keep creating, folks, and I'll see you again real soon. Ciao for now.